Welcome to DSO Live here at Orchestra Hall in Detroit. I'm your host for this weekend of concerts, Alexander Platt. Well, we have been having a magnificent month for French culture here in Detroit. Up the road on Woodward Avenue at the Detroit Institute of Arts, we've been enjoying a gorgeous show of the landscape paintings of Claude Monet. And here at Orchestra Hall, we are now at the final concert in what has been a fabulous festival of French music at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, led by our maestro, Leonard Slacken. And here to discuss with me this final concert is my friend, the former assistant conductor of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, Mr. Charles Greenwell. Charles, great to see you.
Thank you, Alex. Good to have you back again.
Thank you very much. Now, most of this concert is devoted to some of the most famous works in the French repertoire, but we're going to begin with what I think is a bracing, short contemporary work by a gentleman named Guillaume Connesson. One hears many things in this music. I particularly hear French music from the 1920s like Albert Roussel, but there is a real connection to Beethoven. Tell us more about that.
Well, the best way to do that is to quote from the composer himself about what he intended to do in the piece, and this is Monsieur Connesson's own writing. I wish to compose a Furies tune that draws a psychological portrait of Beethoven and more generally pays homage to the music of Germany. For Beethoven, I portray an angry, seething, impetuous man whose interior violence shows through in numerous pages of his music. In his works, Beethoven constantly celebrated the fraternity of man, but he was often harsh with his loved ones and domestic servants. My musical portrait originates in this paradox.
Well, Beethoven was certainly a unique figure in the history of music. What makes Connesson unique in his background?
Probably that he has assimilated so many influences that many people refer to him and a lot of his compatriots nowadays as cosmopolitan composers, meaning it's very difficult to listen to their music and say, oh, that composer must be from France or Italy or Germany, whatever. Now, there certainly are French influences in his music, but if you don't know French music really intimately and hear him, you might think, well, I wonder where he's from. But that does nothing to decry the brilliance of his composition, his extraordinary gift for orchestration, and the fact that he can put things out in a way that haven't been done before.
Well, for those who have yet to hear this piece, I think they really are in for a treat. Now, speaking of treats, we then move on to two of the great bonbons of the French repertoire. For violin and orchestra, we have Saint-Saëns' introduction in Rondo Capriccioso, and then also performed by this brilliant young man, Benjamin Beilman, Ravel's Tzigane. Now, Ravel, we all adore as one of the great orchestrators of all time. What makes the orchestration of this work particularly special?
Well, actually, the orchestration of the work is just quintessential Ravel. There's nothing, but what makes it fascinating is how the work evolved. It was originally written for a violinist named Nelly Darany, who was the grandniece of the great Joseph Joachim.
I see.
And originally it was written for violin and piano, but a piano that had a thing across the strings called a luteal, which had the ability to make it sound like a harmonica or a guitar or a cymbalum, which is a Hungarian zither. But the thing is, it was so capricious that every time you used it, you had to retune it and retweak it, and it just didn't work out that well. So Ravel finally said after the premiere, this is nuts. So he rearranged it solely for piano, and then from the piano part, he orchestrated it into the version that you will hear tonight.
Amazing. So this was like a precursor to the synthesizer, the electric keyboard.
Well, yes.
But failed one, evidently.
Yes. The thing was, it was too complicated for its own good, apparently.
Wow.
But yes, you're right. It was the first in a line of interesting prepared pianos that came along in the 20th century.
Charles, thank you for those fascinating insights on Ravel and Connesson. We'll be joined in just a few minutes by our scholar in residence for our French festival, Dr. Stephen Whiting.